Hey everyone, I hope your last week went really well. I'm really curious to find out how your last week went, and I know it sounds simple, but it's easy to do and it's easy not to do. So that's kind of the point, is that changing one small habit, one small thing, can give you a sense of empowerment, but also what's cool about this is that we're going at this with a sense of curiosity. This is more about discovery. This is not about judgment whatsoever. So, sorry. So this is not about judgment. So I'm curious to know if you feel so inclined. Please type below in the comments or in the chat what your water goal was, and if you feel like you want to share. If you met it or you didn't, that's totally fine. I also want you to know that it's okay to change your goal. If you set too high of a goal, that's fine. This is your body, your life. I mean, you can set we call it a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. This can be something small. To me, half my body weight in ounces is no big deal. I know there are other people, when I mention 4 liters, they're going for 4 liters, Jill. That's okay. Whatever you want to go for is fine. But I'm curious, like, did you notice anything as you made this thought to yourself as, hey, I'm going to drink X amount of water? Were you able to meet that goal? Why were you not able to meet that goal? What helped you meet that goal? And how did you feel when you were focused on drinking that amount of water? Did you feel good? Did you feel guilty? Did you feel, I don't know, whatever. So those are all things to write down and keep track of. If you feel like sharing, other people will probably jump on that bandwagon of, oh yeah, me too, right? Okay, so this week we're going to be building on last week, which was the water. This week's challenge, and I'm calling it a challenge because it really kind of is not so easy. Put the phone down. And this is really hard for me right now because I do everything because I can't type real well. Hopefully I'll be getting this stupid thing off tomorrow. It's driving me nuts. But I can't type very well, so I'm voice to texting everything. And so it's super easy to hop on social media. I'm spending all my time, and it's just like, okay, enough's enough. So we've got 2 parts to this week's challenge. Number 1 is I'm going to challenge you today, I want you to just write down, I'm sorry, not write down, keep track of how much time you spend on either social media, watching the news, how long the TV's been on. Even if it's in the background, your subconscious can hear it. So how long is the TV on? How much time do you spend watching TV, reading the news, being on social media? You're not judging yourself here at all, remember? There's no judgment. It's kind of like when you haven't hopped on the scale in a long time, like me, and I hopped on today and I was like, oh my gosh, I weigh that much? No judgment. It's just like an awareness. It's like, well, I had no idea I was spending 6 hours a day on social media, reading the news, watching TV, etc. So my challenge for you today, keep track of how many hours or how much time you're spending watching TV, reading the news, watching the news, on social media, etc., etc. Tomorrow, my challenge for you is to set a big goal. Set an audacious, bold goal of, I'm going to limit my time to whatever you want. If it's an hour a day, if you were doing 8 hours a day, I'm just going to shut the TV off and only watch it when I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to run it in the background. How does that make me feel? Do I feel anxious? Why do I have it? So the point of this, it follows into the next thing. It can be a little sensitive because if you're used to having background noise and suddenly it's just you in silence, that can be a little much. So set a bold goal. If you don't meet it, that's fine. In fact, that's good because now you're aware of, hey, I can't do that. Now we can start to figure out why, right? So whatever your goal is, say if you got the TV on all day and you're only going to watch it for that time, then you're going to shut it off. Or you're going to, the second part is put the phone down. Put the book down. When it comes time to eat, undistracted. And anybody who lives alone, like I usually do, If you have meal times with your family, that's great, but largely we usually have one meal at least a day where we eat by ourselves and we eat watching the phone or watching the TV. We're distracted. My challenge for you this week is to eat every meal undistracted. Snacks too. When it comes time and you're hungry and you notice you're hungry, great. Go get whatever you're going to eat, but then just eat. No scrolling on social media while you're eating. No watching TV. That's really hard, I know. A lot of us listen to podcasts. A lot of us read books. A lot of us sit there and scroll while we eat. Because we lose the taste of food. We lose those hunger cues. We lose that feeling of, am I full? Am I not? Did I really want to eat this? Did I not? Am I actually hungry? And we'll get that in subsequent things. But if we're already limiting our social media time and we're getting out in the real world, this week it could be really powerful. So that's my challenge for you. So feel free to write in the chat down below or with this. Feel free to comment on all that. So really hope you can do this. I'm really excited to see how you feel, and you don't have to share it. If you'd rather just take these notes for yourself, like, hey, I turned off the TV and I ate my lunch on the porch because the weather was nice, and I noticed my food tasted better, or I noticed that I felt anxious, or I noticed that I really didn't like to eat by myself. And just write down your feelings. You don't have to share them with us, but it's really helpful to start getting in tune with, can I do this every day, just for once a day, and then all of them. Like, we just kind of build on this. This is not an all or nothing thing. This is not, I have to do this for the rest of my life starting right now. We're just going to build. We're just going to build, and it's fine. And it's this whole challenge, it's not really a challenge, I just don't know what else to call it. This whole course is designed to give you a sense of creativity and exploration of, hey, why do I do the things I do? Because we can't change our habits if we don't know why we do what we do, right? And it's really kind of empowering to take your life back in this way. So when you eat today, just eat. It's a really nice thing. And if you're in your group like we are, go through the guide number 2. It's guide number 3, but week number 2. So go through guide number 3. I've got several different posts. You do not have to do them all at once. I recommend spacing them out. But number 1, please go read the post I wrote, the blog post I wrote. It lays this out in grand detail. But then give yourself permission to be vulnerable and find out how you feel, and write it down. Share it if you want. Share it if you don't want. But yeah. And if you find like you can't eat undistracted, that's okay too. But just becoming aware of it is so helpful and so powerful. So go read the blog post, then go through the rest of the guides as you have time. As you'll see the tip that I wrote about getting out of social media. Guys, and I'm so guilty of this right now because I use it for business too, but at the same time, I don't use it all for business. Let's be real. We don't do that. So finding out how much time you spend on social media and really being like, I'm going to read a book, I'm going to go outside. Today I'm going to go for a walk, and the phone is not, well, the phone's going to go with me because I'm going to track it on Strava, but then I don't get on Strava and go like everybody's stuff. I'm like, it's not necessarily a detox of media, but it can be. I just think it's really important for us to learn how to be present. And when you're learning this, remember, no judgment. If you have feelings of guilt, write it down. Just notice it and say, oh, why do I feel guilty? Where did that come from? Who said I should do X, Y, or Z? This is all a goal that you are setting for yourself. And so just notice those things as they come up, because there's probably some other stuff behind it. As we go into next week, each one of these builds. So it's really kind of interesting when you're like, yeah, I'm just going to, or whatever it is, if you have these feelings of guilt or shame or anxiety, sit with it for a minute and see if you can be kind to yourself and ask yourself, why do I feel that? What's going on with this? Where is this coming from? I put in the email, if you're on the email list, you'll get this today, but Janine Roth, if you have any struggles with food addiction, she has these great books. She wrote this book, and I think it's actually a book. It's called When You Eat Out of the Refrigerator, Pull Up a Chair. And this this goes into one of our later posts, but when you eat at the refrigerator, pull up a chair. How does that make you feel when I said that? My first thought is, no, that's wrong. You leave the door open, all the food spoils, whatever. But the point of it is, why are we eating at the refrigerator? We're usually trying to meet a need that has nothing to do with food. Yeah, sure, sometimes you go up and you're like, I don't know what I want, and you pick at stuff, and we all do it. But how many times do we not give ourselves permission to eat what we want to eat? And we'll get to that in another point. But I mentioned this in the podcast episode Jen and I did a while back. Be like the cat. When a cat sits down to eat, that's all they do. Have you ever noticed a cat doesn't like pick up food and run off with it? I mean, they do, but whenever they get to where they're going, that's all they do. They are very present. They're like, I'm going to eat this. They don't, go off. I mean, I look at mine, and when I feed them in the morning, that's all they do. It doesn't matter if it's like the world's tiniest piece of tuna or scrap of food you dropped off. They will sit down and eat it. They don't eat it standing up. Have you ever noticed this? I mean, cats are fascinating like that. So be like the cat. Anytime you eat anything, sit down, eat it undisturbed, no scrolling, and just eat it and notice. And if you don't want to finish eating it, fine, don't eat it. But just be with yourself and notice how that is. It's going to be really interesting. So no judgment, all exploration. Go at this with a sense of curiosity, the courage to be vulnerable in this, and write it down if you want to, share it if you want. But I'm really excited to see how this goes for you guys this week. This is going to be an interesting one. So yeah, have a great week, everybody. I'm excited to see how this goes for you. If you feel like chatting, great. If you don't, also fine. I've gotten private messages from some of you guys as well. I'll tell you this. I notice that whenever I allow myself to eat undisturbed and undistracted, a lot of times I either don't want what I thought I wanted, or I don't finish it, or I don't eat as much, or I just notice there's all kinds of things I notice. And if I'm scrolling through social media, I get to the end of my food and I haven't really tasted it. We say these things, right? We all know this, and we all say these things, but how often do we really do it? So it's like, yeah, I shouldn't be watching this while I'm eating. Okay. Why? Why should you not? What the should is not coming into this. But ouch. Sorry, this is still bruised. But what do you notice? It's going to be really interesting. Okay, I've blabbed long enough. Thank you guys for joining me today. I'll see you in the group, and looking forward to what this week brings. Have a wonderful week, everybody.